Hello, I'm Luke Schrader, and I'm going to be changing the MKT Trail into a New England Puritan civilization. So the first thing I know the colonial people did to start off their civilization is transforming the area. As you see, there are some benches and buildings, but most importantly, trees in this park. I would start destroying the buildings for more space, and the trees too. I would take down all the trees in this area for materials also. The colonial people used the wood from these trees for fencing and fuel, which is what I would do. There is a bridge on the left side of this park. If I could for this assignment, I would keep it so I would have somewhere to walk over the creek. But if not, I would build a bridge so we could walk over the creek. And once again, there are sidewalk pathways. I think these pathways are good, but obviously they didn't have sidewalk pathways back in the 1600s, so I would use these pathways, but not with concrete. In the Puritan society, they were super religious people, so I think having a church in the main focus area of this park would be the best for my community. This little building to the left is where I'd like to build my church. Obviously, it would be bigger than that. Over the creek are rocks and then a flat area. There would not be roads there back in the 1600s, so this is where I would try to build my housing. I think I could fit a line of housing of 1 and 2 story houses. Right across from the church would be the biggest house, which would be the minister's house. I think it's important that the minister had the best living situation, especially since the Puritans' religion was their main focus point. I would also like some other buildings like a school, but most importantly, blacksmith, building stations, stuff like that. I think it's super important to have good building stations for stuff like tools and furs to trade with the Native Americans. The MKT Park is not very big at all. I looked up the average Puritan town and it's a 6 by 6 mile square, which is not even close to this. So it would be, once again, it would be super important for my community to be able to trade high quality resources to the Native Americans for more land. The Puritans both farm and hunted for food. Since this park is not very big at all, farming would be an issue. I would probably farm most of these grassy areas with stuff like corn, rice, and tobacco. I don't know a lot about farming, so I don't think these areas would be able to supply a good amount of food for my community, which is another reason why trading would be super important with the Native Americans for more land, because I need more farming land. So the main focus point of food for my community would be hunting. I would travel to hunt animals like wild turkey or other wild animals. Another downfall of this park would be the lack of water for fishing and stuff. As you see, there is a little creek here, which has water. There's not a lot of water there to supply drinking purposes and farm purposes. So I'd probably have to travel to find more water if needed. I think the biggest downfall, like I already said, is the lack of fishing. This creek is not a fishing area. As I read in the book, the Puritans were really big on fishing for food, but also trade. So I would have to travel to other local Columbia lakes like the Stevens Lake and the Twins Lake for fishing. I know it's a hike, but it would be super important for my community as it was for the Puritans community back in the 1600s. I would also like to utilize farm animals. I would try to put sheep and cattle into the little space I have left. Finally, a big thing I would do for my community is use fences to mark territory for land, but also to protect it. I do not know if the trees here would supply me with enough wood for the amount of fencing I will need, so I'd have to travel to find more wood if needed. But unlike the Native Americans, the colonial people were much more territorial with their land and their individual owners. So I would use fences to mark the territory of land, but also to protect the farming of wild animals. The book talks about releasing wild boar into this area to help control species that we don't like wolves. I don't know if there's a lot of wolves here, but it was something I would do. That's what I would do to start a Puritan civilization at the MKT Trail.